So the first question is from B. I just started seeing a girl who's hesitant to have sex with me. She wants to, but is not sure because I'm going to the military next year, and we agreed we won't do the long distance thing. She gets really attached and would hate to lose me after getting to that point. So she gets attached if she has sex with somebody. How do we grow past this and live for the moment? Okay, so the question of how to live for the moment, that's something that humans have been trying to tackle for a long time. That's basically why we revere someone like the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, who, started a whole religion, it's more of a spiritual practice, or some people call it a philosophy, which is, Buddhism. But this idea of wanting to live in the moment drives us all nuts. We all spend most of our time, in the past or the future, and a lot of times we wish we were living in the moment. So we're thinking about living in the moment instead of actually living in the moment. We all live in the moment at times when we're fully engaged in something. So for example, I'm in the moment when I'm making music. A lot of times so for example, I'm in the moment when I'm making music. So I have a little setup at my house, and I've been making music a long time. In fact, a lot of the music that I put with my products and these videos and stuff is stuff I made. And when I'm working on music, hours fly by and I don't even notice because I'm in the moment. In terms of this particular situation with this guy where sounds like he's dating this girl, seeing this girl, and they're not sleeping together yet, but it seems like they both want to. So the issue is that this guy is seeing this woman and they want to sleep together. It sounds like they want to sleep together. Obviously she's thinking about it as well as he is. And she's hesitant to do it because it won't last. Well, number one, nothing lasts. No relationship lasts forever. At some point someone dies, right? So there's no permanent relationship. And that's a sad part of life, I think, but it's also what makes life, if things lasted forever, if they never had an end, if there was no limitation to our existence, we wouldn't be able to enjoy anything. And that brings me to what I think this guy should do, which is to enjoy the time with this woman now instead of thinking about the future. Now, is it going to hurt down the road? For him, maybe. It sounds like for her, she gets attached after sex, and that's pretty common with women and, men too, but more so for women. There's actually, chemicals like oxytocin get released when a woman has sex, especially if she has an orgasm. Just cuddling alone, I believe, releases oxytocin. So there's a chemical component, and I think there's a psychological component where the woman is opening herself literally and emotionally to the man, and so she's making herself vulnerable, which is not a bad thing, but when that source of pleasure or comfort or connection is gone, it hurts. You're losing something. I don't think that's a good enough reason to not do something. The idea that it might be over at some point, the idea that you might lose it at some point. Because if you take the logic of, avoiding life experiences because at some point it might be over, or at some point things will change and it'll emotionally hurt you. If you follow that logic, or that strategy for life of avoiding stuff, you're not going to live. You're going to miss out on so much. In my experience, every experience I've had that was, really enjoyable, really satisfying, was also kind of fleeting. It was temporary. Is it going to hurt her, when you guys part ways? Yeah. I'm not shrugging that off like, who cares? But I'm saying, yeah, it's going to. And so what I would do is I would just say all this to her. I would just tell her what I'm saying to you. You know, my gold standard for advice is that you can take whatever I tell you, whatever advice I give you, and openly talk about it with women. Tell women what I said here, what advice I've given you, etc., and typically agree. And a lot of times what the feedback I get from women is that they really resonate with a lot of the stuff I say. So I try to keep that standard. I try to keep that like that litmus test or gauge for when I give advice. Is this something that you can just go and talk about to a woman, or am I telling you something where, you know, you want to be sneaky and keep a secret and not let her know what you're up to? Again, you know, when you start thinking about that, now you're out of the moment. Now, as far as like practical steps for this guy, a lot of times when you're hanging out with a woman, and you know, you're romantically interested, you're sexually interested, a lot of times women will take themselves out of the moment. So they'll start thinking about, where's this going? You know, what are his intentions? They'll get self-conscious. They'll be thinking about, you know, how they look, you know, are you really turned on by them, etc. So they'll start thinking about all this stuff and really second guessing themselves and getting meta with the situation, meta analyzing the situation. And as a man, one of your kind of tools in your tool belt is you should be able to bring the woman back into the moment. And that means that you're in the moment yourself, but you also have the presence of mind to notice that she's not in the moment. The way to do this, for me, is just simply to notice something you like about her and play with it. So this could mean, you know, doing something affectionate, like, you know, leaning in, kissing her on her ear, her neck, smelling her, touching her, pulling her close, just squeezing her, hugging her, cuddling up with her, asking something about her, you know, like, hey, how was that class that you were telling me about? Did you watch your show last night? You know, whatever show she likes. And just get back into talking about something, get back into interacting, get back to touching. And you're gonna have to do this over and over and over. You're gonna have to keep doing this. You know, and it's not bad that women get self-conscious and step out of the moment and think about what they're doing. Men do it too, of course. Or look for a way to get physical. And I would actually say that's the best thing to do, is find a way to get physical. As soon as, like, for example, as soon as a woman starts getting in her head, stepping out of the moment, analyzing stuff, that's a great time to just pull her close and, you know, like squeeze her, you know, kiss her on the top of her head. A lot of times I'll like, one thing I'll do is just like with my girlfriend, I'll kind of just attack her, where I just pull her in close and, like for example, with my girlfriend, she's short, right? And sometimes she gets kind of silly and crazy and she'll be talking a lot and stuff. Or she'll be like analyzing the situation or asking me questions like, why did you say that? Why do you think that? She asks like questions that like stop the interaction. It's like, and so what I'll do is just do something physical. Like I'll just pick her up. So that's how you bring the girl back into the moment. You're gonna have to do this repeatedly with this particular girl. I'm, you know, referring to the guy who asked the question. And, you know, like I said, the verbal tools as well. And again, big picture, you know, you have to decide if you want to have sort of a life strategy of avoidance or trying stuff, experience. Strategy is going to be avoidance or experience. And no experience is permanent. It's going to end. And sometimes that's going to hurt. You got to decide, is that good enough reason to not do something? To not, you know, enjoy someone, connect with someone, sleep with someone? You have to decide that. And you know, I would bring that up with the woman and you know, have a discussion about it, and then something physical, snap her out of the moment, and then, you know, do something physical to bring her back into the moment, and really just try to enjoy the time you have together.